welcome to John's Briefs with my favorite attorney. Are we allowed to have a favorite attorney?
I was going to say, that's an oxymoron. Good Lord.
Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, I will also be on your team as a consulting expert, and you can attend our monthly active self-protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below.
Tim Forsey, and we're at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale in their conference room. Thanks for letting us use it. And we had a big one on the channel that was this kind of made the rounds of an idiot YouTuber.
Yep.
Doing idiot YouTuber prank things. I say that as a guy who makes YouTube videos all the time.
Hey, if they're funny, I'll listen, but I didn't even say anything remotely funny
terrible.
about this. No,
and he got shot for it. And the guy that shot him got prosecuted and then found not guilty.
Well, actually, it was 2 hung juries, was that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, hung jury.
Yep.
And so double mistrial.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to catch it. I thought he was going to get convicted. Let's talk about why maybe he didn't. Weird case, huh?
Really weird case. Yeah, this is another one of those Darwin cases.
Yeah. So, first of all, that YouTuber's a moron. And I won't name him, and I didn't put any links to any of his stuff. That guy should just go to obscurity and go flip burgers somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully he's pooping in a bag for a couple of years and we don't hear from him.
A total moron for everything that he did. But you know, when I first watched that video, Tim, I didn't see anything in that video that rose to the level of a reasonable threat of death or great bodily harm.
Nor did I. No, it was completely unjustified. Now, could I make a case? Or could a lawyer make a case? Of course. You know, the guy, I couldn't see his hands. I thought perhaps I was the object of an armed robbery because I had a delivery that I'm going, so there's clearly cash involved, and I could make a case, but I think it'd be a loser case. I would advise my client to take whatever plea we could get because the jury ain't gonna like this, right? So, and I think what he did was completely wrong. Based on what I saw in the video, I believe what he did was wrong.
Yeah. And you know, there was some pushback in the comments, and I get, you know, people are going to have differing opinions on stuff, right? Now, I will say this too, that when the verdict came out, and you know, we put here's the final verdict that comes out: 2 mistrials, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. So people are like, ha! See, what he did was right.
No, not the same thing. Again, there's no finding of innocence in U.S. jurisprudence, right? It's guilty or not guilty. Yeah. So he was found not guilty. If I had been on O.J. Simpson's criminal jury, I would have found him not guilty. I would have also found him
the glove don't fit.
I would have also found him completely liable in the civil case. I think the system worked exactly as it's supposed to work.
And they did.
Because of the burden of proof.
Yes.
Right? And, you know, the whole Mark Furman thing, we don't need to get into that, but I would have had a reasonable doubt at the conclusion of the O.J. Simpson criminal trial, and I would have found him not guilty because I had a reasonable doubt. Did I have a clear view by a preponderance of the evidence that he did it? Yeah. I would have found him liable in civil court. So I think the system worked exactly the way it's supposed to.
So remember that standard in criminal court. You must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, there's not a judge or an attorney that's going to give you a percentage number on that.
But there'll be a jury that will, because that's the jury's job, basically. The jury will decide what. But people always say, you know, there's no way you're going to be able to convince a jury that this guy's not guilty. I don't have to convince a jury. I have to convince one juror.
Right.
If I get one juror that'll stick to their guns and say, I'm not going to vote for conviction, worst case scenario is a mistrial.
Yep.
And at some point, the state's going to stop spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on trials, and my client will go home. Now, does that mean that they were exonerated? Not necessarily. It means they got away with something, which is a hell of a lot better than going to prison from the client's perspective. But it's not some blessing that you get from the system that you're a good person and you do the right thing.
And so this guy who, listen, for everything that I know, I mean, what it looks like is he's just a delivery guy. Mm-hmm. He's concealed carrying a gun in his pocket, totally okay. It's not my preferred method, but that's neither here nor there. I disagree with his decision to draw and fire a gun.
Right.
I think it was a wrong decision. I think if anything, listen, this is why if the only tool you have is a hammer, you look at every problem like it's a nail.
Right.
This is why
I was just getting ready to say that.
This is why I carry OC spray. This is why I've done 16 years of martial arts training. I'm not everybody's going to do that, the martial arts side, but you can carry an OC spray. It's a really easy tool. That I think would have been appropriate.
Yeah.
Dude, I want you to get away from me. You keep coming to me.
How about stomping on his foot, knee to the testicle, just a little slap to the throat?
Just push him.
Let him know. Yeah, push him back. And he did kind of push the phone, I think, at one point.
Yeah, try to slap the phone
Wish that had been a little bit more forceful. But Yeah, and then if the guy had closed and re-engaged and gotten physical himself, now things get a little bit easier to defend, et cetera. But yeah, you're right. If you only have a hammer, then every problem you counter is a nail, and that's what this guy did. He just, this guy's bugging me, he's still bugging me, I pushed him, and he's still bugging me, I'm going to shoot him.
Yeah.
No.
And again, though, remember, this is the attorney who's telling you this is a dog of a case.
Yeah.
And I am surprised he beat it. I mean...
I think that if you get one juror who's been robbed, had a family member that got robbed, that got harassed, that got pushed around and stuff like that, and they say, you know what, this guy was being a jerk, and he was told to stop being a jerk, and he kept being a jerk, and by God, what was this much smaller guy supposed to do? And I would have definitely played up the disparity of size on this. Sure. Because the guy, the YouTuber, the idiot with the flat brim, by the way, guys, if you have a flat brim on your ball cap, fix that, okay? Just fix it, roll it. This guy's an idiot, right? And when he continually keeps getting in the guy's face and stuff, at some point, is a punch to the throat going to be legal? Yeah, probably so. Well, then does that mean it's on the same continuum as a handgun? No, but I can make that argument. So, it's like, look, this guy is much smaller. He's carrying cash. Maybe, I got the feeling maybe he didn't speak English as his first language. Maybe he's a little bit more excited about this than you or I would have been, but maybe he just got mugged a week ago. Maybe his best friend just got attacked and beat senseless by a guy in a parking lot who was trying to take his money from his delivery, blah, blah, blah. I don't know all those facts, and I think that if I could have sold that, I could probably, I don't know, I would say there's a decent chance you could get one juror that would stick to their guns and say, I have a reasonable doubt here.
So I want to talk to the attorney here a little bit about this interesting bit, because juries decide who they like real fast.
They sure do, and they watch every second. You know, the things that you don't know that the jury picks up on. I had a case, I'll try to make this really quick, but I had a case one time where it was a civil case, and I was defending, so I was working for an insurance company, and it was a rear-ender case, and we'd admitted liability. Our client had rear-ended another car. We admitted the accident happened. We admitted we'd injured the person, but we felt the person had overtreated. They went to a chiropractor for like a million years, and they had all these really high chiropractic bills, and we thought, they're milking it, they're trying. And so we offered a set amount of money, and they said, nope, we don't want to do it, we're going to go to trial. So, okay, so we go to trial. At the end of trial, we admitted liability, we admitted causation, we admitted we had injured them. The jury came back with a defense verdict. Wow. Meaning the jury said, no fault, and you owe them $0. And we were pleasantly surprised, but kind of mystified. At the end of the trial, you get to speak to the jury. A lady who we have never guessed the foreman, this little lady became the foreman of the jury, and she came up and she goes, you guys might not have noticed it, but that woman's toenail polish changed colors every day during that 4-day trial. And she claimed that she had back problems and couldn't even bend over. She is a liar. We knew she was lying because her toenail polish changed colors, which I sure as heck didn't even notice. And maybe her husband did her toes for her. I don't know.
Right.
But the jury just decided that based upon that factor, she was a liar, and they gave her $0. Wow. That's always an easy, quick story for me to tell about how juries pick up on things that you would never in a million years guess they pick up on.
Well, and if the jury looked at the YouTuber and went, yeah, he kind of earned that.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
He's a jerk,
yeah.
and
he didn't die.
Yeah.
And he's not permanently crippled. I don't know what his injuries were, but
he was in the hospital a while.
He kind of had it coming.
But he had it coming.
Yeah.
And now there's no black letter law. There's no case law for he had it coming.
Nope.
You'll never find it, but you will see juries do it.
That's right.
From time to time.
The bastard needed killing defense, as they always talk about in Texas. Yeah.
Now, I certainly wouldn't want to count on it.
That's a big gamble. Yeah. It's a huge gamble.
I mean, you're talking a dog of a case.
If they offered him a plea for, a year with time served, something like that, I mean, that would be a pretty appealing plea in a case like this.
Yeah.
But if they basically said, you know what, the only plea we're going to offer you is 10 years in prison, well, roll the dice.
All right. It's 10 or it's 15.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just go for the, the big shot. So, as the defense attorney, you don't have to convince 12 jurors.
Nope.
You have to convince one.
And you might have to convince one a couple trials, like we saw here.
Yeah,
but I've had mistrials, and I've never had it dropped after the first mistrial. So yeah, you can expect that it's going to come back. But at some point, the prosecutor. Now, the time I had it, I won the second one. But at some point, the prosecutor's got to realize this is not a winnable case. So.
You might get a place. I've had a case where a judge would not give a jury the instruction that they could come back hung.
They will eventually, but some judges.
5 days.
I mean, it might take 2 weeks for some judges, but eventually they will. If you stick to your guns and you refuse to change your vote, then at some point they'll grant a mistrial. But yeah, some judges are really obstinate about it.
And at the end of day 4, or in the beginning of day 5, the one juror who was holding out finally was bullied enough by the others to change her vote and said so afterwards. Yeah. They bullied me enough and called me enough names that I changed.
Wow, and it shouldn't work that way.
Well, I think it'll get overturned on appeal, but that's going to cost him a whole bunch of money.
Right, a whole bunch.
So juries are weird.
Boy, are they.
And you can never pick one.
There's 2 ways to define juries, and you've all heard one of them, and the one that we all hear that's sort of a joke is a jury is 12 people who are too stupid to get out of jury duty. You've all heard that one, right? And I've seen juries that I don't know how they found the courthouse that morning. I mean, I've had that jury. There's another way to define juries that a lot of lawyers have heard that most lay people haven't heard. A jury is an animal. And this particular animal has 600 years of life experience and an IQ of 1,200. And that's true as well. And you never know which jury you're going to get until the trial's over.
Right.
So, yeah.
And listen, I think personally, I think a jury is made up of 12 people who are just normal folks, who are doing the best they can, who are not experts in the system, but who are there doing their civic duty. And so we entrust them, I mean, one of the 4 boxes of freedom, and in one of the most important boxes of freedom. So anyhow, I think that verdict, the jury makes me scratch my head. My guess is they looked at that YouTuber and went,
but I also think at the end of the day, the irritating jerk YouTuber guy is pooping into a bag for a couple of years. And maybe he learns his lesson. And the other guy is probably bankrupt from paying attorney's fees for 2 trials. And he's going to have the stigma of a psycho who shot somebody that didn't deserve to be shot for the rest of his life. And again, I don't lose much sleep over this case. I think Darwin sometimes gets it right. And I think this is a case where we might not like the way it proceeded, but at the end of the day, nobody died. Lessons were learned by stupid people. I don't lose sleep over cases like this one.
Don't take a chance on having a kind jury.
No,
Be a
God.
good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person instead. Have something between a harsh word and a gun. And don't be a jerk YouTuber. Those are our lessons. Tim, thanks, man.
Always, buddy.